our host for today's contest, the Executive Director of the Mississippi Arts Commission, Malcolm White.
On behalf of the Arts Commission and our partners, the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation, I would like to welcome you here to the 14th Annual Mississippi Statewide Poetry Competition. And thanks again to my buddy Dexter Allen for our entertainment tonight. This year, over 300,000 students across the nation participated in the contest. Here in Mississippi, 39 high schools from all across our state, from Meridian to Vicksburg, South Haven to Biloxi, began this journey towards today's competition. It began for many of you at the beginning of the academic year, perhaps in an English class, some of you in a theater class, while others became interested and got involved through a kind teacher or club advisor. However you came here, we are delighted to have you here. 2,500 students from across the state, as well as 132 teachers, were involved to get us to this point in our competition. In February, the school championships represented their schools at one of the 3 regional contests that were held statewide. And from each of the regionals came 3 top contenders, 3 top scoring individuals who will recite here today at MPB. I personally congratulate each and every one of you on your achievement, and I want to give you my personal best as we continue to compete here today. And most importantly, I want you to remember that today is about you and the art of poetry. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to our MC for our program. Please welcome my friend and our MC today, Mississippi Public Broadcasting's own Michelle McAdoo.
Let me first tell you how proud Mississippi Public Broadcasting is to share Poetry Out Loud with our statewide television audience. We believe that academic contests should and do stand on the same stage as all other pursuits of excellence, and that the contestants not only deserve our attention, but our respect. Poetry Out Loud seeks to promote the art of poetry in both the classroom and the community. The program provides an entry point for many students to learn to love poetry and, for most, to introduce them to poems that will stay with them for a lifetime. Scoring recitations is one of the most important and most difficult aspects of a Poetry Out Loud contest. Judges are asked to evaluate very different recitations, each displaying an impressive level of excellence, and they must decide how well students represent complex poems and may lead themselves to more than one interpretation. The integrity of Poetry Out Loud rests on the work of the judges at each and every level of the contest. Serving on today's panel of judges are author, songwriter, singer, Mississippi Arts Commission roster artist, and teaching artist, and Mississippi Humanities Council speaker, Rochelle Putnam. Assistant professor of the Theater in the Communication Department at Mississippi College, Dr. Phyllis Seawright. Writer, editor, and instructor of English at Jackson State University, C. Lee McInnes. Actor, director, and artistic director of Jackson's New Stage Theater, Francine Thomas Reynolds. Arts educator and associate director of programs at the Center for the Study of Southern Culture at the University of Mississippi, Afton Thomas. And courtesy of the Mississippi Arts Commission, our accuracy judge, Sandra Lee Bell. Our prompter is Anna Ergot, and our score tabulators are Shirley Smith and Emily Shafali. Poetry Out Loud recitations are scored in 5 categories: physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. It is interesting to note that Poetry Out Loud is a contest, not a competition. If it were a competition, the contestants would all be reciting the same poem, and the judges would be choosing one recitation over another. In Poetry Out Loud, the judges evaluate each recitation independently according to the 5 scoring categories, using a predefined 6-level scoring system. In other words, the judges do not select the finalist. The scores do. There will be 3 rounds in today's contest. Each contestant has prepared 3 poems and will each recite one in round 1 and another in round 2. The top 3 scoring contestants will then each recite a 3rd poem to determine who will represent Mississippi at the National Recitation Contest in Washington, D.C. in April. And now, we begin round 1 of the 2019 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud Recitation Contest.
Bleeding Heart by Carmen Jimenez Smith. My heart is bleeding. It bleeds upward and fills my mouth up with salt. It bleeds because of a city in ruins, the chair still warm from sister's body. Because it will all be irreproducible. My heart bleeds because of baby bear not finding mama bear, and it bleeds to the tips of my fingers like I painted my nails crimson. Sometimes my heart bleeds so much. I am a raisin. It bleeds until I am a quivering, ragged clot. Bleeds at the ending with the heroine and her sunken cancer eyes. At the ending with the plaintive flute over smoke-choked killing fields. I'm bleeding a river of blood right now, and it's wearing a culvert in me for the blood. My heart rises up in me, becomes the cork of me, and I choke on it. I am bleeding for you, and for me, and for the tiny babies and the IED blown leg. It bleeds because I made that way, all filled up with blood, my sloppy heart, a sponge filled with blood to squeeze onto any circumstance. Because it is mine, it will always bleed. My heart bled today. It bled onto the streets and the steps of City Hall. It bled in the pizza parlor with the useless jukebox. I've got so much blood to give inside and outside of any milieu. Even for a bad zoning decision, I'll bleed so much, you'll be bleeding. All of us bleeding in and out like it's breathing or kissing. And because it is righteous and terrible and red.
History Lesson by Natasha Trethewey. I am 4 in this photograph, standing on a wide strip of Mississippi beach. my hands on the flowered hips of a bright bikini. My toes dig in, curl around wet sand. The sun cuts the rippling gulf in flashes with each tidal rush. Minnows dart at my feet, glinting like switchblades. I am alone except for my grandmother, other side of the camera, telling me how to pose. It is 1970, 2 years after they opened the rest of this beach to us. 40 years since the photograph where she stood on a narrow plot of sand, marked, colored, smiling, her hands on the flowered hips of a cotton meal sack dress.
April Love by Ernest Dowson. We have walked in love's land a little way. We have learned his lesson a little while. And shall we not part at the end of day with a sigh? A smile. A little while in the shine of the sun we were twined together. Joined lips, forgot how the shadows fall when the day is done and when love is not. We have made no vows. There will none be broke. Our love was free as the wind on the hill. There was no word said we need wish unspoke. We have wrought no ill. So, shall we not part at the end of day who have loved and lingered a little while? Join lips for the last time. Go our way with a sigh, a smile.
The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here, at our sea-washed sunset gates, shall stand a mighty woman, with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning. And her name? Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Traveling Through the Dark by William E. Stafford. Traveling through the dark, I found a deer, dead on the edge of the Wilson River Road. It is usually best to roll them into the canyon. That road is narrow. To swerve might make more dead. By glow of the taillight, I stumbled back of the car and stood by the heap. a doe, a recent killing. She had stiffened already, almost cold. I dragged her off. She was large in the belly. My fingers touching her side brought me the reason. Her side was warm. Her fawn lay there waiting, alive, still, never to be born. Beside that mountain road, I hesitated. The car aimed ahead its lowered parking lights. Under the hood purred the steady engine. I stood in the glare of the warm exhaust turning red. Around our group, I could hear the wilderness listen. I thought hard for us all, my only swerving, then pushed her over the edge into the river.
Requiem by Camille T. Dungy. Sing the Mass, light upon me washing words now that I am gone. The sky was a hot blue sheet. The summer breeze fanned out and over the town. I could have lived forever under that sky. Forgetting where I was, I looked left, not right, crossed into a street and stepped in front of the bus that ended me. Will you believe me when I tell you it was beautiful? My left leg turned to uselessness and my right shoe flung some distance down the road. Will you believe me when I tell you I had never been so in love with anyone as I was then, with everyone I saw? The way an age-worn man held his wife's shaking arm, supporting the weight that seemed to sing from the heart she clutched. Knowing her eyes embraced the pile that was me, he guided her sacked body through the crowd. And the way one woman began a fast the moment she looked under the wheel, I saw her swear off decadence. I saw her start to pray. You see, I was so beautiful, the woman sent to clean the street used words like police tape to keep back a young boy seconds before he rounded the grisly bumper. The woman who cordoned the area feared my memory would fly him through the world on pinions of passion, much as, later, the sight of my awful beauty pulled her down to tears when she pooled my blood with water and swiftly, swiftly washed my stains away.
Earth, You Have Returned to Me by Elaine Aki. Can you imagine waking up every morning on a different planet, each with its own gravity? Slogging, wobbling, wavering, a tilt and out of sync with all that moves and doesn't. Through years of trial and mostly error, did I study this unsteady way. changing pills, adjusting the dosage, never settling. A long time we were separate, oh Earth. But now you have returned to me.
Writing by Howard Nemerov. The curse of crawl, the squared off characters, these by themselves delight, even without a meaning, in a foreign language, in Chinese, for instance, or when skaters curve all day across the lake, scoring their white records in ice. Being intelligible, these winding ways with their audacities and delicate hesitations, they become miraculous, so intimately out there at the pen's point or brush's tip do world and spirit wed. The small bones of the wrist balance against great skeletons of stars exactly. The blind bat surveys his way by echo alone. Still, the point of style is character. The universe induces a different tremor in every hand, from the check forgers to that of the Emperor Hoi Sung, who called his own calligraphy the slender gold. A nervous man writes nervously of a nervous world, and so on. Miraculous! It is as though the world were a great writing. Having said so much, let us allow there is more to the world than writing. Continental faults are not bare, convoluted fissures in the brain. Not only must the skaters soon go home, also, the hard inscription of their skates is scored across the open water, which long remembers nothing, neither wind nor wake.
Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
This concludes round one of the 2019 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud Recitation Contest. We'll now proceed directly to round two, during which we'll hear a second recitation from each contestant.
Hysteria by Dionisio D. Martinez. For Ana Menendez. It only takes one night with the wind on its knees to imagine Carl Sandburg unfolding a map of Chicago, puzzled, then walking the wrong way. The lines on his face are hard to read. I alternate between the TV, where a plastic surgeon is claiming that every facial expression causes wrinkles, and the newspaper. I picture the surgeon reading the lines on Sandburg's face, lines that would have made more sense if the poet had been, say, a tree growing in a wind orchard. Maybe he simply smiled too much. I'm reading about the All-Star game, thinking that maybe Sandburg saw the White Sox of 1919. I love American newspapers, the way each section is folded independently and believes it owns the world. There's this brief item in the international pages. The Chinese government has posted signs in Tiananmen Square forbidding laughter. I'm sure the plastic surgeon would approve. He'd say the Chinese will look young much longer, their faces unnaturally smooth. But what I see, although no photograph accompanies the story, is laughter bursting inside them. I go back to the sports section and a close-up of a rookie in mid-swing, his face keeping all the wrong emotions in check. When I read, I bite my lower lip, a habit the plastic surgeon would probably call cosmetic heresy because it accelerates the aging process. I think of Carl Sandburg and the White Sox. I think of wind in Tiananmen Square, how a country deprived of laughter ages invisibly. I think of the great walls of North America, each of them a grip on some outfield, like a rookie's hands around a bat when the wind is against him. I bite my lower lip again. I want to learn to think in American, to believe that a headline is fact, and all stories are suspect.
Love Song by Dorothy Parker. My own dear love, he is strong and bold, and he cares not what comes after. His words ring sweet as a chime of gold, and his eyes are lit with laughter. He is jubilant as a flag unfurled. Oh, a girl, she'd not forget him. My own dear love, he is all my world, and I wish I'd never met him. My love, he's mad, and my love, he's fleet. And a wild young wood thing bore him. The ways are fair to his roaming feet, and the skies are sunlit for him. As sharply sweet to my heart he seems as the fragrance of acacia. My own dear love, he is all my dreams, and I wish he were in Asia. My love runs by like a day in June, and he makes no friends of sorrows. He'll tread his galloping rigadoon in the pathway of the morrows. He'll live his days where the sunbeams start, nor could storm or wind uproot him. My own dear love, he is all my heart, and I wish somebody'd shoot him.
Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen. You hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand, begin and cease. And then again begin with tremulous cadence, slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled, but now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. For this world, which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain, and we are here, as on a darkling plain swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night.
What I Learned from the Incredible Hulk by Amy Nizuka-Mataro. When it comes to clothes, make an allowance for the unexpected. Be sure the spare in the trunk of your station wagon with wood paneling isn't in need of repair. A simple jean jacket says, hey, If you aren't trying to smuggle rare Incan coins through this peaceful little town and kidnap the local orphan, I can be one heck of a mellow kind of guy. But no matter how angry a man gets, a smile and a soft stroke on his bicep can work wonders. I learned that male chests also have nipples. Warm and established. Green doesn't always mean envy. It's the meadows full of clover and chicory the Hulk seeks for rest, a return to normal. And sometimes a woman gets to go with him, her tiny hands correcting his rumpled hair, the cuts in his hand. Green is the space between water and sun, cover for a quiet man, each rib shuttling drops of liquid light.
Rondo by Lee Hunt. Jenny kissed me when we met, jumping from the chair she sat in. Time, you thief who loved to get sweets into your list, put that in. Say I'm weary, say I'm sad, say that health and wealth have missed me. Say I'm growing old, but add, Jenny kissed me.
I Have a Time Machine by Brenda Shaughnessy. But, unfortunately, it can only travel into the future at a rate of 1 second per second, which seems slow to the physicists and to the grant committees and even to me, but I managed to get there. Time after time, to the next moment and to the next. Thing is, I can't turn it off. I keep zipping ahead. Well, not zipping. And if I try to get out of this time machine, open the latch, I'll fall into space unconscious, then desiccated, and I'm pretty sure I'm afraid of that. So I stay inside. There's a window, though. It shows the past. It's like a television or fish tank, but it's never live. It's always over. The fish swim in backward circles. Sometimes it's like a rearview mirror, another chance to see what I'm leaving behind. And sometimes like blackout. All that time wasted, sleeping. Myself, age 8, whole head burnt with embarrassment at having lost a library book. Myself, lurking in a candled corner, expecting to be found charming. Me, holding a rose, though I want to put it down so I can smoke. Me, exploding at my mother who explodes at me because the explosion of some dark star all the way back struck hard at mother's mother. I turn away from the window, anticipating a blow. I thought I'd find myself an old woman by now, traveling so light in time. But I haven't gotten far at all.
Strange. Not to be able to pick up the pace as I'd like. The past is so horribly fast.
Mad Song by William Blake. The wild winds weep, and the night is a cold. Come hither, sleep, and my griefs enfold, but lo, the morning peeps over the eastern steeps, and the rustling birds of dawn the earth do scorn. Lo, to the vault of paved heavens, with sorrow fraught, my notes are driven. They strike the ear of night, make weep the eyes of day. They make mad the roaring winds, and with tempest play like a fiend in a cloud with howling woe. After night, I do crowd, and with night will go. I turn my back to the east, from whence comforts have increased. For light doth seize my brain with frantic pain.
To Have Without Holding by Marge Piercy. Learning to love differently is hard. Love with the hands wide open. Love with the doors banging on their hinges, the cupboard unlocked, the wind roaring and whimpering in the rooms, rustling the sheets and snapping the blinds that thwack like rubber bands in an open palm. It hurts to love wide open, stretching the muscles that feel as if they are made of wet plaster, then of blunt knives, then of sharp knives. It hurts to thwart the reflexes of grab, of clutch, to love and let go again and again. It pesters to remember the lover who is not in the bed, to hold back what is owed to the work that gutters like a candle in a cave without air, to love consciously, conscientiously, concretely, constructively. I can't do it. You say it's killing me, but you thrive. You glow on the street like a neon raspberry. You float and sail, a helium balloon, bright bachelor's button blue and bobbing on the cold and hot winds of our breath as we make and unmake in passionate diastole and systole, the rhythm of our unbound bonding, to have and not to hold, to love with minimized malice, hunger and anger, moment by moment, balanced.
The Rights of Women by Anna Letitia Barbald. Yes, injured woman, rise, assert thy right. Woman, too long degraded, scorned, oppressed. O born to rule in partial laws despite, resume thy native empire o'er the breast. Go forth, arrayed in panoply divine, that angel pureness which admits no stain. Go, bid proud man his boasted rule resign, and kiss the golden scepter of thy reign. Go, gird thyself with grace, collect thy store of bright artillery glancing from afar. Soft, melting tones, thy thundering cannons roar. Blushes and fears, thy magazine of war. Thy rights are empire, urge no meaner claim. Felt, not defined, and if debated, lost like sacred mysteries, which withheld from fame, shunning discussion, are revered the most. Try all that wit and art suggests to bend of thy imperial foe, the stubborn knee. Make treacherous man thy subject, not thy friend. Thou mayst command, but never canst be free. Awe the licentious and restrain the rude, soften the sullen, clear the cloudy brow. Be more than prince's gifts thy favors sued. She hazards all who will the least allow. But hope not courted idol of mankind on this proud eminence, secure to stay. Subduing and subdued, thou soon shalt find thy coldness soften and thy pride give way. Then abandon each ambitious thought, conquest or rule. Thy heart shall feebly move in nature's school, by her soft maxims taught, that separate rights are lost in mutual love.
Welcome back for the final round of the 2019 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud Recitation Contest. The scores from the first and second rounds have been tabulated, and the three highest scoring contestants will now each recite a third poem. The scores they earn in this round will be added to their standing scores and will be used to select Mississippi's representative to the Poetry Out Loud National Recitation Contest to be held in Washington, D.C. on April 30th and May 1st. The contestants in round 3 in alphabetical order are Victoria Bird, Angelita Michele, and Taylor Mills. Congratulations. And now, let's begin the third and final round of the 2019 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud Recitation Contest.
I Find No Peace by Sir Thomas Wyatt. I find no peace, and all my war is done. I fear and hope. I burn and freeze like ice. I fly above the wind, yet can I not arise? And naught I have, and all the world I season, that loseth nor locketh, holdeth me in prison, and holdeth me not. Yet can I scape no wise, nor letteth me live, nor die at my device. And yet of death it giveth me occasion. Without eyne I see, and without tongue I plain. I desire to perish, and yet I ask health. I love another, and thus I hate myself. I feed me in sorrow and laugh in all my pain. Likewise displeaseth me both life and death. And my delight is causer of this strife.
The Ocean by Nathaniel Hawthorne. The ocean has its silent caves, deep, quiet, and alone. Though there be fury on the waves beneath them, there is none. The awful spirits of the deep hold their communion there. And there are those for whom we weep, the young, the bright, the fair. Calmly, the wearied seamen rest beneath their own blue sea. The ocean solitudes are blessed, for there is purity. The earth has guilt, the earth has care. Unquiet are its graves. But peaceful sleep is ever there, beneath the dark blue waves.
Always Something More Beautiful by Stephen Dunn. This time, I came to the starting place with my best running shoes and pure speed, held back for the finish. Came with only love of the clock and the underfooting and the other runners. Each of us would be testing excellence and endurance in the other. Though in the past, I'd often veer off to follow some feral distraction down a side path, allowing myself to pursue something odd or beautiful, allowing myself to become acquainted with a few of the ways not to blame myself for failing to succeed. I had come to believe what's beautiful had more to do with daring to take yourself seriously, to stay the course, whatever the course might be. The person in front seemed ready to fade his long, graceful stride, shortening as I came up along his side. I was sure now I'd at least exceed my best time. But the man with the famous final kick already had begun his move. Beautiful, I heard a spectator say, as if something inevitable, about to come from nowhere, was again on its way.
And now, the announcement we've all been waiting to hear. The naming of our third and second place finalists and of our 2019 state champion. The 2019 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud third place finalist is Angelita Michelli. The 2019 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud second place finalist and recipient of a $100 award and a $200 stipend for her school library is Victoria Bird. And now, the 2019 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud state champion and recipient of a $200 award and an all-expense-paid trip for two to Washington, D.C., and a $500 stipend for her school's library, is Taylor Mills. Let's give all of our winners a big round of applause this evening.
Congratulations and a big thank you to everyone who contributed to this year's Poetry Out Loud finals. To our teachers, students, coaches, parents, clinicians, volunteers, and judges, and to the schools and organizations that partnered with the Mississippi Arts Commission to bring this program to the students across our state. Our partners include the Yakima Arts Council in Oxford, the Margaret Walker Alexander National Research Center at Jackson State University, the Hattiesburg Arts Council, Parkway Heights United Methodist Church in Hattiesburg, and Lafayette County and Oxford Public Libraries. Registration for the 2020 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud program begins on Monday, May the 6th. Any and all schools that teach students in the 9th through 12th grades are encouraged to visit our website and to register. This concludes our 2019 program for Poetry Out Loud, and we thank you all for attending and hope to see you next year.